Hello, everybody. Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Method here for the 150th time. You guys out there don't know how many recordings I actually make to make one of these lessons. It's so ridiculous. I'm on like take 97 here, and for good reason because, boy, I just tend to ramble too much. So, anyways, listen, I hopefully want to be quicker than usual here, and you know how that goes. All right. I have a whole bunch of new things to introduce. I have some corrections and some plans I want to go over. So, corrections. In the Department of Corrections, we have me basically wanting to do a little bit more in this lesson, uh, leading from where I left off in the last lesson. But in the last lesson, that's because in that last lesson, boy, I left out a couple of important things. I kind of feel like I said some things because I was so excited. I was really on a moment of jumping into, like, finally having a click moment about a new concept. And I jumped right in and made a lesson about it. And I ended up saying some things that I was making assumptions about. And after I noodled around a bit, the assumptions kind of fell apart. So I need to kind of redo that. Now I've been having so many this method is now, like, I'm getting all these moves in my ears and in under my fingers now that are very major blues oriented now. Finally, I can make these, get into the sounds and know why they're happening and when they're happening and how to quote unquote stay with the changes. And so as I learn that and I'm just seeing, how much I keep on going, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Oh, look at this. Hey, this pattern is cool and blah blah blah. I realized that, okay, this is actually a series of lessons that we can take, like a little tour through, and then I'll pick up with the idea I used a couple lessons back, calling it a safari. So we're on our major blues safari now. So why a major blues safari? Well, I'm talking to the me that was like, 10, 15 years ago that should have been learning this and heard about learning this, and it just went right over my head for so many reasons. Like, hey, if I just know the minor blues, shouldn't that work? If I can, learn all the best solos from my favorite guitarists in their minor blues structures in their music, it sounds so great. This should work everywhere and be great everywhere. And then you kind of go to a blues jam and you go, my licks don't work up here. I see that guy looks like he's playing pentatonic, but he must know something. What's the deal? And you try maybe like a little trick and it sort of kind of works. But so until you really plug in and know what you're doing and know what the little subtleties are between the 1, the 4, and the 5 of a major blues, and why those subtleties exist and how to target them. So you're doing little changes for every chord that suddenly lock you into the idea that you are playing the changes. And that's like the jump in right there, between your noodling and what's going on. So it's really about making it simple, and that's what this whole safari is going to be about. Just learning to get it visualized and audibleized. Is that a word? Audibleized? No, it's not a word, but I just made it up. But in the same way that you get it pattern understood, visually, um, you get it sonically too. So in places where maybe suddenly the pattern disappears, you kind of forgot, you can almost use your ears because you get so locked into the changes and what's expected and how it works. And there are certain notes that you can milk over each of those chords that give it that ice cold beer sound swilling across a bar countertop there. I don't know how to put it, but there's this blues bar sound, you know. So there are notes and they change per chord. So now you're also changing what you do per chord to um, to get through the changes, to also get started in this method before you let that go and just kind of it'll happen, and when it doesn't happen there can be some happy accidents and kind of that when people tell you, oh, you learn music theory but you forget it, that's kind of what it means. You learn a pattern, you learn what's going on, and then eventually you can actually not even really have to be thinking about it as it's playing. All right, so that being said, um, we can. I got a backing track now, so some new things for the channel. We went over the plans that are. It's going to be. We're going to do dominant seventh safaris, and new to the channel, two amazing new things for the channel. Well, three. One I already told you about, this microphone. It's now allows me to play the guitar, and I don't think it bleeds through the mic as bad, as far as I can tell. Second, merchandise. I've always thought about, hey, people merchandise their channels, they sell merch, but what would a Mind's Eye logo be, and who would care? Because, I mean, like, you don't put, like, my guitar teacher on your t-shirt. Nobody really cares about that, or a certain guitar studio, maybe, something. But, so what I did was, I experimented with just some plain artwork, no kind of, like, specific, eye on some graph paper that says Mind's Eye or something. Although that might like look cool on a coffee mug. I experimented with making some pictures that ended up coming out really like trippy, psychedelic, I guess, but not too much there, but unusual and realistic, like a Salvador Dali kind of. You're gonna see them. I'm gonna post a link when I get the store set up. I've got over 75, well, I don't know, around 50, or I don't know, something like that. A whole bunch of different prints that I'm really excited about, and that'll start with like some probably as like I said, prints and mugs, and then I want to expand them into posters and maybe some tapestries and all for you to hang up in your studios. I figured, well, one thing that guitarists do have, other than wearing t-shirts, is maybe a lot of these viewers may have studios. And I think that would be a cool thing to market my products. Two, moving on from there, so check for those links in the description. Also while I'm on links and clicking things, you know, like everybody says, like and subscribe, and be sure to, if you can, check out the Buy Me a Coffee. We really need coffee. We are very thirsty for coffee. Mind's Eye Visual Guitar Method may disappear without coffee. It's that important. So please consider this coffee. It's a very delicious coffee. Now, that being said, anything that if you do support this channel, man, it's so appreciated, and it'll help me get my Patreon up and running. I've been finally poking back at that, and just it'll help propel this channel, secure this channel's future, put it that way. So let's hear that backing track, and we'll get into a little bit of lesson here to showcase the next cool thing. Is this backing track is the final upgrade to our my lessons here. Oh my gosh, this whole time at least I wasn't explaining anything. I don't even know if I had my teaching screen up here, but there it is now for sure. And at the same time, I do have a windowed projector screen that is supposed to be up, and there it is. All right. So, we have this exercise here, and what I said in my lesson was that if you only use the pentatonic, if you only use this trick to place the pentatonic, that's why you might sound a little bit boring. Well, if you try to play your minor pentatonic rock licks over it, what's happening is you're so random that shows up in your playing. It just sounds like, okay, these are maybe on the inside notes, but nothing is making any real, there's no statements happening. There's no inside, outside. There's no call and response. How do you make call and response? There's no chord tones and other outside scale tones or other choices happening, or tones that are, just special tones that do something like the flat third does. All right, so that being said, let me get this track just started here. And like I said, we've got to move. Everything on this diagram is now not as pictured. It's the same structures and shapes. Everything is moved up 3 frets to my minor pentatonic. Jam space is going to be starting from the C note, as if I was playing a C minor pentatonic. I think also got a balance issue figured out on my my B string was kind of quiet. And after adjusting the pick, it was still not doing well, and I got a little bit more out of it by raising it up off the fretboard just a touch. And well, it's a little bit, I don't know if I'm exactly excited about its height, but it's kind of been a quirk of the guitar since I built it. But it's a little bit more even keeled now, which is cool. But if it sounds a little low in the mix during the blues jam, well, you know why. So let me start by playing in this yellow box, but there's like so much more than this. This is just an exercise to get you in your ear and also give you kind of like one playground area. But you'll see how you can pretty easily like eventually get out of the crutch of using a minor pentatonic as a framework. There's 2 different places you can do this on the fretboard. I'll even show you the second place, hopefully, in this video. But we got to get moving here, I guess, if I want to do that. And this blue note that we're going to jam. If I can get to my screen here. Sorry, folks. Yeah, right here. Okay, so there's 8 million things open I got to click on. And I can't decide on which one's OBS, which icon is Studio One, and which icon is File Excel, if you want to know how I do all this. Okay, so the blue note. The blue note. Now, during the 4 chord, we're going to experiment. I try to, what I'm seeing so far is the blue note trick sounds best in the 1 and the 5 chord, but I guess it could work for the 4 chord too. So what I'm going to try to do, let's just jam in pentatonic, minor pentatonic, no nothing style, and see how that sounds. So we'll start with that. I guess I got to press play then. Here we go. All right. My ear. I didn't like that note, but I like this note. You can do, here's some like a minor pentatonic. Like maybe? Maybe? Like it all kind of works. Because it's kind of hard to... Damn, that doesn't work. Alright, hold on a second here. Maybe this works. Oh, this works. Does this work? Oh, man, that's awesome. Thank you. Now I got a $280 value right there. I paid for this Adam SQ a couple years ago, and I haven't really just ended up doing much with it. I'm just rounding its corner now. And but I can now learn that there's another improvement. I can start and stop the the backing track with a button while I keep the screen on and don't have to click down below. That's awesome. Key. Okay, so with new excitement and vigor, let's go. One. You know, so we went over the 1, 3 and the 1, flat 7, 3. Alright, well that's not what we're talking about right now. So what I was saying was that you can get, so I showed you kind of how you can sort of breeze through with pentatonic if you just use your ear. You can get it to at least have some congruent notes. Some of them won't be working well as landing notes. You could see that, like, kind of like Johnny B. Good licks. Just don't, they don't, you're not making any sense. You're not catering to these intervals. You know, you're talking when you work over these intervals. I'm trying to, you know, when I explain these things, I'm trying to talk to the person I was like 20 years ago when I was like, what? I probably already do that. I don't know what you're saying. Let me, you know, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make any sense. I'll learn it another way. And all these other things I, for some reason, resisted. People were probably trying to tell me this, but maybe not in these words. So, what we want to do now then is now play our exercise to kind of get that change in our mind. This is not the only thing you'd ever do, but this will, you just want to do this, what we did last week in our lesson. I guess we already went over this, that you play the 1, then the other, then the 1 for the 4 chord, and it's all 3s, 1 3 7. This is just 1 3 flat 7, I should say. 1 3 flat 7. 1 chord, 5 chord, 4 chord. So you can, right there, like, you can start to hear like the whole thing in your mind's eye. So okay, so it's this one note is changing, and the blue note is a trick that you can put over each chord by playing the minor thirds. Let's just jump in and hear that, because I can't really go detail by detail in this lesson, or it's just going to be a crazy long lesson. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play, the 1 chord shape over the 1 chord, the yellow box there, but I'm going to include that blue note when I can, and same for the 4 chord. I'm going to play the blue note above the box. But you want to play that blue note with the 2 and the 3, so in that case it would probably be like, what do we got here? Kind of like the blue note of the blues scale right there. We'll try that over the 4 chord. Like I said, I think that remains to be explored, whether I really like that minor third trick over the 4 chord, but it seems to definitely be fair game over the 1 and the 5. So let's just get into a jam here. 5. Turnarounds are happening. all yellow, blue note, yellow. Alright, so what I was able to hear there was that you can't hit the blue note kind of alone. It's not really a go-to note, it's a trick. It's to really add some soul to the 3. So you can always kind of picture using the blue note with the 3, and it kind of helps even better, I think, if you wrap it up or cross it by starting a run on the beat from the 2 to 3, or 2 flat 3 to 3. And then I also noticed that like the 4 didn't really sound extra awesome during the 4 chord. I probably should change that yellow diagram to 1 3 5 flat 7. I think that would be the way to actually really spell that out. So I think my exercise should, like, I mean, even though like I wanted to kind of show like how the box, you know, the scale is staying the same, so you could kind of get by with just you know, changing that one note, but at the same time in the box there, one of the notes, well, I mean, look, we got the 4, but we know to treat it as a special note on the 1 chord. I kind of desire the 1, the 7, and the 3. When I say 7, I'm meaning flat 7, just to make it easier. So the 1 flat 7 3, and then the 4 as like a go to the 5 note, or just a little somewhere to go before diving back in. So perhaps when the 4 chord is up, well, first of all, I gotta get on the right fret there, so that's good, but it has no 3rd in there, so it would probably be better if it was. That's gonna really have some cool effect if you keep nailing that during that chord. Especially playing that with the 3 and the 5. Like I said earlier, well, I probably said it in a lesson that I didn't record, that the 4 adds like just a normalness to your, say like a chord scale. It turns it into more of a, it's turning it into a standard scale, and it's adding some kind of, it's smoothing it out a bit, really. It's like adding just a simple, nice step to the 5, but that plainness is kind of, well, plain and standard and regular, and starts to lose its appeal in spaces like jazz and in certain, you know, like I always got to be careful because in certain contexts, because anybody can say, what are you talking about, man? There's a 4th, you look at the 4th, what about 11th chords? And, you know, yeah, you're right. So in certain contexts, the 4 is being used, you know, but you just got to know your intervals and know, you know, at certain moments, what are the things to do with them? What are they, how are they going to function in a context, in a moment? And so there. Yeah. So now one cool thing about this scale is that you get the 6 in there, so it's almost like you want to go definitely. Then I added the 4 in there at the last minute, and to get to the 5 there, and even get to the 1. But that 6 is what I wanted to say is in there, and that 6 always sounds real good with the 7. In other explorations, I don't think we're going to get to it on this lesson, and that's what these safaris are for. I'm going to show you another trick up in the higher registers where you can really outline the chords on a couple of simple shape ideas, and you know, better than kind of this here as an exercise. So you know what this is? So like you do the same experimenting that we're doing right now. You play around with these and go, well, yeah, I like how the third sounds in there better than his diagram. Well, then you're winning. Then you've got the idea and you've got the value from these lessons. If you're going, you like, it can find little modifications like we're finding here. We're just doing it live. So anyways, I was going to mention also that the 6 is in this scale, and it's really cool. You don't find, 6 is going to be in every scale. If we conceptualize the entire shape in our practice box here, we're not getting the 6 over the 1 chord, or there's a 6 for the 7th chord. Cool. But you know what? It doesn't have the 5, and I've noticed that the 6 sounds really cool as a step between the 5 and the 7. I think it's like the next most worthy note to add. We'll just leave it at that. And I'm going to play it for you right here. And it's funny because I've been playing this for a while. Once I learned triads and I was hearing this, I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 3, 5. So, okay, so there's that. Well, what's cool after that? So I'm like, oh, okay, there's that the flat 7 if I want it. Now, then I'd try to experiment putting a step in there because there's 2 notes in between. That's a leap, which is okay, but maybe you want a step in there. So let's add in the first logical choice right after the 5, the sharp 5. That's like okay. It sounds very, very tense or dissonant to a degree, and sounds like it's more, this line kind of sounds concerned, and this sounds more a little relaxed and happy. So let's try the other interval, see if that does the same thing maybe or something. I don't know. It doesn't sound good if you stop there, but if you're using it as a pass up to the 7, I think that sounds cool. And that other note, that tritone, I would have never found until they started exploring this the other day. So you can see how these intervals, if you really put them into your playing very carefully, if you haven't heard this stuff before, if you guys heard this stuff before, then you're just going along here going, oh, this guy's just catching on. But if you're the me that was within the last 10 years, you're going, oh, someone's finally explaining this to me. Like it's about getting a certain level of sounds in your ears and then adding in these intervals and seeing what they sound like. And the groups of tones that create like a bunch of melody notes that are like really stable are the chord tones. And this is why I believe that one good reason that the more heady music, like blues or jazz, like major blues and jazz, uses the 4 chords, the 7 chords, instead of triad-based music, because these 4 chords give you these really solid, melodic, safe spaces, like over a dominant chord. So if I'm in G, I've got all over the place. If I stick with these 4 notes of that and just use them as it starts like sounding like a little cool little bit of music there, because they all chime in good with each other. And you don't get that information necessarily from a scale, even when you kind of highlight the chord tones, because you're still trying to conceptualize this huge playground with inside and outside notes. Oh, these are the ins, these are the out. That's an in, that's an out. This one's in, this one's. You can't do that when you're jamming, and or maybe you can, but I can't do that when I'm jamming. But what I can do is know all the inside notes, period, and then know the in between spaces in between. So what I'm talking about is right here. You learn this little thing and you milk it for all these little geometric shapes here. Like this little plus sign has been my go-to from the start, but I'm getting to a lot more of it. A few minutes ago, I told you how I found the 6 from my triad explorations. Well, there's the triad right there. That one of the basic shapes we know, the 1, 3, and the 5. I'll put that on G. There's that 7 I was talking about, and the 6 is going to be this one right before that. So basically, between the 5 and the 7, I have a playground of 2 notes, and we showed you that. Between the 3 and the 5, I have a playground of 2 notes. I showed you earlier how the 4 kind of makes it like a basic step, and the sharp 4 gives it a kind of a raised tonality, which is kind of cool, and sometimes you don't want these 4s in there at all. And then in between the 1 and the 3, we've got a nice even step there, which makes a great addition to this scale without sounding like you did too many notes. But we also went how we like the 6. So you can easily turn this 4-note scale into a hexatonic scale. Very cool, right? You can go pentatonic by just adding in the 2 or adding in the 6 like a hybrid pentatonic. Or you can add in the 2 and the 6 and get all kinds of new runs. So speaking of that, let's add in that 2. And like right here, I like this shape right here, but even before this, let me show you this too. Came up with this earlier. If I'm jamming this chord here, which is typically where my 4 and 5 chords are going to be rooted on the 5th string, I'm playing this shape right here, brown, blue, midnight sky there, root 3, flat 7, and I know that I've got right through that chord, I've got a little. That kind of sounds. Now, I'm going to give you another concept here that just came to my mind that's kind of whimsical, but I think interestingly cool. And you pattern-seeking people will dig this. Think about this. Think about this, especially with my color choices for these. For all the intervals in the chords. From the root, the brown, the earth, you get some vegetation. Some green starts growing. And a lot of times that green, while, somewhat pleasing, will turn into a flower. It will bloom. And it's almost like when you play these notes in rapid procession as, rapid fire melody notes, they tend to bloom the chord. Did you ever hear an Eric Johnson line? Just sounds like it just kind of like came from somewhere and just the notes just blossomed like a bloom. Listen sometime to his playing. Kind of listen for that. And it definitely some of his runs to sound like that. And that's what I think it is these chord tones create that movement. Definite no mistake movement, and then it's the and it gives you like the root, the seed, the basic plant. The green is the fact which kind of flower it has, and the 7 is, I don't know, the space above the outer space at night. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of like that, and when you add in some of the other notes there, they give that. Did you ever see like a real exotic flower? And they come with like really even brighter colors, something a little more amazing than garden variety Home Depot's in the springtime flowers, right? That comes from the other color tones that you add in, that 6 and perhaps the 2, the 9, whatever that you're talking about there. We're talking about. So I got that like run, and just learn the geometry. There's a certain way I picture it to get my fingers to be able to do that. And so you could hear that as a wrong note, but we went. Fingers not cooperating, but we're getting tired, and this lesson is dragging on, so let's wrap it up. You get to the 2, you add in the 2, and you get cool shapes. You know, you might play like this. So, once again, if I'm down here. Pentatonic. It's like you know, this note is missing, been replaced by the 3 is always shifted down. So like if you played your minor pentatonic right there at that time, you know, you might find that you might find that was also playing that. You've got that little run right there, which gets you the 3rd. So anytime you've got that chord, you can be over there. Now, earlier I was even thinking that I was jamming this. I was jamming in a different spot. I was using this shape, but over the 1 chord, so I had to be way high up on the fretboard. So it was up here. So when I was in the B flat. Look at that perfect playground you get for that chord. That sounds like one of them notes that really make it stand out like the blues, and that's that 6 that you're adding in there. When you normally skip it. Now, and I'm adding that flat 3rd to the 3, 5, 7. I don't know if you noticed or if you understood, but I'm all right here. I know my root is there. And my 7. Experimented with a major 4 in there. I'm sorry, like a sharp 4 Lydian kind of sound, and I didn't really care for it. So, but there's that. It was right here between the 3 and the 5 there. All the 4s sound kind of. All of a sudden you add in that 4, and now it's just a boring scale. can see how sometimes that 4, it's not so much your friend. Even though it feels like just noodling around without any chord, something needs to be there. So I played the wrong chord. Sorry, played the 4 chord. I was supposed to be playing the 5 or the 1 chord. 3, 5. Meh. So you could like use it as like a little tension line to get back to. Once again, going back to that 6. So that's 3, flat 3, 2, back up to the 5, and down to the 1. There's got to be another. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Or you could do the 7, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really get that. You need another note there. Yeah, the 3rd sounds like a good return home to the 1 note. So, you know, there's that. I believe that's pretty much, well, we'll take another exploration. I'll give you a little hint into the next lesson. In that same space, when you go to the 4 chord, you can now think about, so here's your 4 chord here. Well, we're way up here, and our chord is down here, so I kind of got to do a little thinking and transposing. But what I find out, what this man find out, was that, you know, if my chord is here, a little farther down, I've got my diamond, and I like diamonds. This man likes diamonds. No, I don't care about diamonds, but I've got this. And while those notes are going to be in the same like master scale shape that's around there, and you could probably overlay and try to think about like one scale shape that houses all of that, all you really got to do is just kind of switch to that shape thinking. This tiny little, it's like little jam spaces, little jam boxes. So we've got, you know, this jam box that we've explored. That's for the 1 chord. Now the 4 chord comes in, you go. So all of a sudden I'm jamming in a real close part of the fretboard, and you can totally hear the changes. And it's all because of chord scales. That is what no one is telling you. It's a ton of different reasons. You can look at it. I can theorize you to what I did in 8 million ways, but the easiest way I think to grasp it for anybody would be like, you know, just give me, where is this coming from? Are there little patterns I can grab? Little tiny ideas I can start out with, so once I get this under my fingers and in my ears, I can expand this into everything I hear other blues players playing. So that is the kind of the roadway. So with our little plus sign here that I like, you know, I could have jammed all over the place, but You can just milk this little shape to begin and get through a blues jam for sure. When the 5 chord comes, just slide that up a whole step instead of worrying about trying to just, play another thing in the same spot. You could theoretically be like, oops. Try again, Sam. Hold on. So for the 5 chord, keep playing for both the 4 and the 5 chord. Anyways, well, no, technically no, that's all 5 chord stuff. Sorry, I'm just looking at it. Okay, hold on a second here. So. There, I got it. 4. Because I'm like, I should be able to hear the change in these little riff areas. And if you don't, it's because your finger screwed up like mine just did, and we're in the wrong place, or because I'm just getting this all down pat, I was looking at a shape in the wrong area. So once again, from the 1. All the sweet notes for that chord. Then back to the 1. 5 chord. Or I could have played. My bad, gotta use the F, not an E. So I could have played for the 5 chord. As you can see, I'm even getting used to the turnarounds there. You can just employ a simple trick there by going back to that pentatonic practice box and doing some this just changes into that. Basically, those are minor patterns. You would, if you're thinking about this as the root and the minor third, minor third root, major third and root. Remember, you got to go back to the 5 chord a little bit. So you slide up to the third and the 1 of the 5 chord, which is in this case an F in our B flat blues, dominant blues. I hope this took you places you never been before. That was cool. And so yeah, we probably went on for an hour here, but I think this was the best one I made so far, as far as hitting some points and missing some others. And hopefully I mentioned probably right in the beginning, but I did so many lessons now. I don't know if I did the in that other lesson. I never even pointed out that the 1, 4, and 5 are in your master shape there. So when you're going back to that, just in case I didn't mention that. So our lesson is over for today. Thank you for watching. All the buttons that you hit are down below. You know how everybody says, the subscribe, like, whatever. But to buy me the coffee is the most important. Then our merchandise will appear either on this lesson when I create the store, or on a future lessons. Check out our merch, prints and mugs of really cool mind's eye visual guitar method kind of images that are cool and will look awesome in your music studio. So definitely think about picking those up. And we'll go from there. Thank you all for supporting the channel. The best support is the Buy Me a Coffee link. But at least with the merch, you get something tangible in your hand. But this is kind of tangible because you get it in your hand for playing. All right. Enjoy, everybody. You guys are the best. Have a great day. Bye.